Good day and welcome back to another World of Warcraft video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the Hellfire Citadel Raid and why players should consider solo running the Hellfire Citadel Raid, as well as how much gold you can expect to make by pawning the items you get there. So a big incentive for doing the actual raid is the Felsteel Annihilator. This drops from the final boss, Archimonde. There's no other requirement except for killing him, and this mount has a recorded, at least according to Wowhead, 8% drop rate, which isn't too bad. Now obviously RNG differs per person, but it's pretty straightforward. Another thing that's really cool from this raid is a lot of the weapons. I don't really, at least for me, for the classes I play, I don't really find the transmog, the weapon, well, the armor sets to be too exciting. However, I do understand that some classes have some really nice ones, but for me, a lot of the weapons are very, very, very nice from this raid. So I highly suggest you look at this for that. So the location of the raid, for those of you who don't know, is basically in the Tanarish jungle, I believe it's called, which is from the Warlords of Draenor expansion. And you can get here pretty easy from Ashbear. Just teleport there and fly directly to this raid. As long as you have flying in Warlords of Draenor, it's pretty straightforward. And yeah, it's just pretty obvious to see. So a super duper simple little raid to focus on. Now, in terms of the actual raid itself, there's no real boss that's too crazy in terms of difficulty. However, the probably most tedious boss is the first one, the Hellfire Assault boss, because what you have to do here is you have to clear the entire area in terms of mobs, wait for a bit of a RP so that you can obviously take a look at everything and wait for the RP, wait for more ads to spawn, wait for a second round of RP, wait for more ads to spawn. So it's quite a tedious process, I want to say. It's got a lot of RP and waiting and RP and waiting and RP and waiting. So yeah. Beyond that, though, the process is pretty straightforward. Once the actual assault starts, you simply just have to kill the enemies attacking the cannons. You should be able to one-shot most of them. And then special enemies will appear that will be these heavy-duty machineries. And then you will have to take out those machineries. Those units that you kill will drop these little bits of ammunition. And these pieces of ammunition, as you can see here from the Felsteel artillery, these pieces of ammunition you can pick up and you just simply toss into the actual cannons and bam, you're basically done. So that's, it's tedious, but it's not difficult. You should get it done relatively easily. The hardest portion of it, honestly, is just running around. Ideally, the bosses or the actual mobs are not too difficult. Speaking of which, before we go any further, obviously, for those of you who don't know or are not aware, you probably want to be around about max level and around 300 item level to be able to do this pretty quickly. The entire raid's also honestly quite big. There's a lot of bosses in here, so I highly suggest also at the same time that, to cut a long story short, you get ready, because it's going to be at least half an hour of your time, depending on your mount speed and mount buffs and things like that. The Iron Reaver is super straightforward though, one shot, one kill, nothing too crazy there, and from there we get to a little bit of a different kind of section. So in terms of this now, your main goal here is, once you enter the actual Hellfire Citadel, there's a couple paths that you can take, which is obviously something you probably want to be aware of when you are entering the area. There's a path to the top right, which will take you to Kilrogg, the enemy or raid boss here, who is pretty straightforward. Again, just basically kill his 3 little minions and then insta-kill him, and you're done. there's nothing else too connected to Cormorant, so I always suggest taking him out first, just because he's a very simple process to taking him out. I think he's a relatively straightforward boss to get rid of. From there, you're going to want to go to the alternative path, the bottom path, or the left-hand side, I guess, if you're depending or basing it on facing the Gorefiend. And from here, you'll be killing 2 bosses. You're going to have to start with the Hellfire High Council, which is a simple boss, again, consisting of 3 enemies. I'm not going to go too in-depth in tactics, because honestly most classes at decent item level will just pretty much one-shot these or circumvent all mechanics, but you are going to need to pull these guys down from their little pedestal. So you are going to need a ranged attack or a taunt or something to initiate the fight with them on the pedestal. So most classes have that now, it's something baked in, but if you don't, maybe bring a tome, change your talents, and just get something to basically pull them down. Once you've taken out the Hellfire High Council, it's pretty straightforward. You just can continue to kill the mobs and make your way through to Kilrogg Deadeye. Now, Kilrogg Deadeye is, again, also super straightforward fight. You don't have to worry about anything too specific, but he also opens a door that will let you, kind of run through to the next area, which, at least from my perspective, is something that makes life way easier. So yeah, truly appreciate that, and thanks to Blizz. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. After this, you then can take on the Gorefiend, which just requires you to essentially run down the passageway, which shouldn't surprise you too much again. So yeah, pretty simple stuff from that perspective. The Gorefiend himself is also not a boss that's too distinctly difficult. You shouldn't have any major issues taking him out. None of the bosses realistically have any specific gimmicks or anything. You'll just make your way back to the main hallway, and then you will make your way down the main pathway, and then you will take out the Gorefiend. After you take out Gorefiend, you will then have a portal open up, and that portal is going to take you to the second half of the raid. So just keep that in mind when you are obviously moving on to the next section. You have to kill him, and then there's going to be a portal that opens up, and that's actually going to take you to the next half of the raid. So you're not, it's not something you're going to be taking out here. Or continuing here. There's no staircase or anything. Khadgar will open up a little portal, and then from that portal you will access the next portion of the raid, which is a little bit confusing, but if you just follow the order in which I tell you to kill the bosses, you should be able to make your way through it pretty easily. So you'll see this portal get opened up by good old Khadgar, Khad-Deezy, as I like to call him. Pretty nice guy. And yeah, this portal will bring you to the center area where you can choose kind of where to go, but start with Shadowlord Iskar. Shadowlord Iskar's fight itself is also again pretty straightforward. However, you cannot one-shot him. He has to mandatorily enter this phase, kill the ads basically that appear, and then eventually you're going to pick up the item and you are going to have to kill him that way. But yeah, it's not too again, it's nothing too crazy. He just mandatorily has to enter his second phase, but after a while, once you pick up the weapon, eventually he will come and basically try to come at you basically. So again, shouldn't be something too crazy or too difficult. I think most players won't struggle openly with this. I think in general you should be really, really solid. So yeah, super duper straightforward with this, and yeah, everything's going fine so far. You're then going to want to head downwards, and here you're going to take on 2 different bosses. So basically the first of these bosses is going to be Socrethar, I believe is his pronunciation. and then you're going to take on Tyrant Velhari. Now, Socrethar, not a distinctively difficult fight. He will die, then he will spawn himself, and you will take him out. The only important thing is the room directly after this. There will be 4 demonic portals. You are going to need to close all 4 of those demonic portals before you're going to be able to go to the next pathway. So just keep that in mind. I know a lot of players get a bit confused and they kind of get stuck and they think, oh, it's just never ending spawns, etc. No, you just need to basically wait and then take out all 4 portals and you'll be fine. In terms of the, in terms of the next area, the only thing you need to be careful of is some of these enemies will cast an ability called Mortal Mark, and this will reduce you to 1 HP. And so you just need to be careful of that. It's not a huge train smash if you die. You can obviously just respawn, but it is what it is. Take the path to the left of Tyrant Velhari to return back to the Shadow Lord Iskar, and then back to the center circle. And then head to the path to the right. Here you will come across Zul'Farrak. Obviously another boss that you can take out. Pretty simple boss again. Just take out his 2 sub-bosses at the beginning of the stage, and then after that you should be pretty good to go. Nothing too crazy, I guess. Pretty straightforward. No real gimmick, tactic, second life, anything really here. From here, you can run back pretty much directly to the next boss. You just basically run out of here, run straight, and there'll be a giant rock that you can run down to, and that will bring you to Fellord Zakun, who again is not distinctively a overtly difficult boss. So now you are pretty much done with the running around section of the raid. You're going to want to head back to the original portal room where you found good old Khadgar, and you're going to want to take his portal. This is going to take you to Manaroth on Destructor's Rise. After you kill his little sub-elite enemy guys, you will then have him spawn, and you can again take him out pretty quickly. So honestly, not anything too crazy so far. I think most players shouldn't really have any overt difficulties with any of this. I think it's a fairly straightforward process, so I don't really think anyone should be struggling too gravely with this. A couple of cinematics will spawn. If you want to watch them, you can, and experience the Hellfire Citadel. I think it's a pretty cool raid, especially lore-wise, so that's cool. Beyond that, pretty straightforward. You can then take on Archimonde, and he is also super duper simple. Again, 1 shot, 1 kill, no second phase. So pretty straightforward stuff. Honestly speaking, the lack of second phase or changing phases is pretty wild in this Hellfire Citadel. Like, you don't get transported, translooted, transmuted, or anything, which is very interesting. But yes, once that's done, you can loot the boss, and hopefully you will have received your mount. Now, if you did not, you can just come back and run this next week. It'll be pretty straightforward. The big thing about this raid is honestly the time spent running around is like a 34-minute exercise. I genuinely think it took longer to run around to the bosses than anything else. Is it worth farming for gold? Well, 34 minutes is quite a sizable amount of time. And we're going to sell all these items. I will loot the rest from my post box. But honestly speaking, it's really not worth it for gold. Even BOEs, like there might be some BOEs you can pick up and sell for gold. But realistically speaking, there's not too many. There are a couple that do sell, but remember, BOEs are very chance-based. So I don't think it's worth it from that perspective. The loot you do get quite a sizable amount of loot. Because remember, you are looting a lot of bosses. Like you're looting quite a few bosses from this raid. So you getting quite a decent chunk in terms of items. It's just that, yeah, they don't sell for much. I think in total we made around 640 gold from this, which realistically it's just not that much gold. Like, it's a decent chunk of gold, but it's not a crazy chunk of gold. So yeah, I wouldn't say, ostensibly if someone said, hey, is this something I should farm? Am I looking to make gold? Should I go to Hellfire Citadel? I'm not going to point it out. I think the weapons are really cool. I think the transmog for that is cool. I think the mount is cool. I think it's definitely pretty rad, and its drop rate seems decently high, that it's not going to be a train smash trying to get. But I would definitely say that, based on the gold making capacity, this is not really one that I think players should focus on. At least not for me. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care, stay safe, and happy hunting. See you next time. Bye.